Good morning. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nury Martinez, and I am the first Latina in 170 years in U.S. history to be elected president of the Los Angeles City Council, the governmental body in the second largest city in this nation. I am a staunch supporter. Thank you. I am a staunch supporter and a friend of labor. I want to thank General President Shea Berger for inviting me here today and for your kind introductions. Thank you very much. Harold, you are a true champion, not only for first responders, but for organized labor across this nation. The battles you fight on behalf of your members, like collective bargaining and healthcare and mental health support, are not only firefighter issues, they're American worker issues. Collective bargaining is not a privilege. It is a right for every American. I am so proud to be here today with labor leaders to recognize that fact. So thank you, Harold, for inviting me today. And thank you to General Secretary Treasurer Ed Kelly for fighting for those rights. Before I go on, I want to thank my home local, Local 112 of the United Firefighters Los Angeles, and my president, Freddie Escobar, and his executive board who are here this morning. Hi, guys. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to advocate for you and the honor to represent you and fight for you, and thank you for always having my back. I also want to thank and acknowledge IAFF's 10th District Vice President and former Local 112 President, my good friend Frankie Lima. Frank has always been a true partner to me and one of the great labor leaders in our movement. He also represents UFLAC Local 112 at our LA County Federation of Labor, and our solidarity is powerful in Los Angeles. We have been blessed in Los Angeles with strong union fire leaders, and our city has definitely benefited from it. They are true partners in public service. They are firefighters for which they work and fight for workers' rights. They are effective champions to deliver not just for their members, but for the entire city of Los Angeles. Because of guys like Freddie, and because of IAFF, leaders like Frank, Los Angeles has received more than $20 million in SAFER grants from the federal government. More money that specifically went to hiring a class of 50 firefighters and opening up 4 LAFD engine companies that had been previously closed due to the economic downturn 10 years ago. Frank and Local 112 and its executive board have not only been staunch advocates for their own members, but for working families in their fields. When Los Angeles teachers went on strike last year, represented by the United Teachers of Los Angeles, Frankie and President Shea Berger went out there to make sure that they represented and it stood side by side with our teachers. More than 1,800 firefighters marching in our streets on behalf of our kids and teachers. And it was not a coincidence that that same day the teachers were able to cut a meaningful deal and was able to put more money in teachers' pockets and increase mental health care for our students. This is the power of organized labor. This is the power of the firefighter brand, and this is the power of the firefighter union. Whether it's fighting back lawsuits to build new fire stations so that our first responders can do their jobs safely and effectively, or working to increase diversity and inclusion in our departments, or including their sponsorship in the Girls Camp for the last 4 years, running to increase the number of women in our ranks, I have always been proud to stand with the fire union to get things done. We all know it takes exceptional human beings to be able to become firefighters. It is the thing that I admire the most from each and every one of you. You're a special group of people. However superhuman the public and elected officials might think you are, at the end of the day, you are human beings. You are husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters, and unfortunately, you see a lot of things that most people simply do not. In fact, the health and safety of working conditions of our firefighters are a barometer of our society. Our firefighters see it all. They see the struggles of our society on the front lines. If our healthcare system is failing, our firefighters are the ones to pick up the slack. They become primary health care givers to our communities and cities. If our infrastructure is failing, our firefighters are the ones to see the increase of volume. In Los Angeles, we are facing the largest homeless epidemic in the nation. It is a complex issue that it has different moving parts like housing, mental health, addiction issues, but our firefighters are the ones who see it face to face and live it every single day. They see the call loads rise, and they see the impact this issue has had on our residents and those who are experiencing homelessness. While we are working hard for long-term solutions, we are also working to find ways to alleviate the burden to our first responders and our emergency system. The Los Angeles Times did a story last month of LA Fire Station 9 in Skid Row in downtown LA. Skid Row is the largest homeless encampment in the nation. Fire Station 9 is one of the busiest fire stations in the nation. With close to 23,000 emergency calls per year, 1.28 square miles, the reporter who followed the firefighters for 24 hours titled the article, "Horror, Fatigue, and Constant Calls." The story was important not only because it shows that incredible odds you face each day, but because it clearly shows that the behavioral and mental impact that the job has on firefighters. I don't tell you anything you haven't heard before. Behavioral health is an issue that fire services are facing every single day. The statistics are really frightening. 1 in 5 firefighters suffering from PTSD, and more deaths due to suicide in line of duty deaths in the past 3 years. But what I admire the most, and what I should not have to remind you of, is as elected officials and the political system, your tool to help people and help your members is very important. Tomorrow, you'll be lobbying in the Hill for Helping Emergency Responders Overcome Act. This act will increase prevention, detection, and treatment for post-traumatic stress injuries among emergency responders, provide educational grants, and develop peer counselors and collect data on suicides. When you go and lobby at the Hill, tell your personal stories. Show the legislatures what your brothers and sisters have gone through. Tell them what you've gone through and how this legislation can help you. It is your experience that elected officials want to hear. You are the only ones that are able to deliver this message and be able to bring this issue out of the shadows from the public and those in power. I am proud that in Los Angeles, we supported getting firefighters the behavioral health resources that they needed. It's not all my work or the council or the mayor. It is a lot to do with our local 112 and their tremendous effort to ensure that this gets done. We work hand in hand with our union to ensure that our protectors are protected and that they have a safe place to go if they need to. Just like a broken leg, these injuries are part of the job and they should be treated as such. Los Angeles is leading the way in an innovative approach to behavioral health. They negotiated a robust employee assistance program in 1978 and never stopped building on it. In addition to having full-time healthcare specialists on calls with their members, now they're pushing to develop even further to build a building on local behavioral health for their members in my district. But doing so, it's not just about them as a local. We cannot ignore the 911 calls from our first responders. We need to address mental health at a national level and ensure that firefighters and their families have the help that they need. I want to applaud President Shapeberger for taking on this issue of behavioral health and pushing forward where a lot of others have faltered. We saw the signs early on, you saw the signs early on, and when something went wrong in the union and you jump into action by creating a robust behavioral program building on the IAFF Center Excellence for Behavioral Health in Maryland. But you cannot fight this fight alone, and you need partners here in Washington to be able to get that job done. Please, when you meet with your elected officials, they're all gonna wanna tell you that they're happy to see you and they're gonna hear your stories, but do not be mistaken. Sometimes you will go home and those emails will be ignored. Don't let that stop you. Stand in solidarity with each other and make sure your voices are heard. When you're talking to elected officials tomorrow about your critical issues like collective bargaining and mental health, Make sure that the conversation does not end tomorrow. Make sure you continue to communicate. Make sure you keep checking back in with them, keep communicating, and keep telling your story. Too many times, politicians will applaud you regarding your first responders' efforts. They want to thank you for running into buildings towards danger. But too many times, that same politicians don't do enough to make sure that you have the services you need when you get out of that building. So don't let them. So don't be mistaken. You don't need their thank yous. You need their action. And you need to tell them that if they support you and the millions of lives that you save and the people that you help in towns and cities across this great country, that they need to be there for you. You need their vote and you need their money to prove it. They need to support your right to collective bargaining. They need to create mental health services to help you process the very real and difficult things that firefighters go through each and every day. And in closing, I will say this. When the lives of the people that you serve each day and the lives of the firefighters are at stake, the question should never, ever be, should we be with them? The question should always be, where, how, and what time should I be there? You are exceptional human beings and the best of the best. My name is Nury Martinez, and I am the president of the Los Angeles City Council and a friend of IAFF. Thank you very much for having me.